might want to share this with people. It might actually make their brains start to think. Now, you may not have been paying attention to this, but I have. And there have been a lot of stories out there about people's behavior. People on planes are becoming unruly. Yes, of course, this passes new laws, new restrictions, which is part of everything that they're trying to do. But it also makes you use your brain and wonder why. Why are people on planes being unruly? Why are hospital attendants and doctors now using panic buttons because the people in the hospital they're treating are being so unruly and vicious? Now, what in the world could be happening to make all of these people at the same time start to behave very strange and very different? Could they be putting something in their body that would make them different or change? Could it change their behavior? Could brain waves be getting changed to manipulate? Those are all, of course, just hearsay. Nobody would ever believe something like that's happening. That's why, everyone's just stressed out. That's what they'll tell you. Everybody's just overly stressed. That's why the behavior of people is getting more unruly, more vicious, more confrontational, and more frightening. Take a look at some of the stuff going on around our world.
Working in the emergency department, a lot of times our patients are becoming increasingly violent lately.
Nurse Ashley Blevins says in the past year, staff have been spit on, cussed out, and in some cases beaten by patients.
So it's nice that we have the chance to press our button and then security knows exactly where we are. And if we end up having to chase a patient down, they know where our last location is.
Cox Branson's patient safety facilitator Angie Smith says after analyzing workplace violence numbers in Branson, she knew they needed this system.
Because of the way our property was laid out, it's going to have to work off of a GPS or wireless type system. So it's going to cost quite a bit of money.
Mindy Honey with Skaggs Foundation says when learning there had been 123 assaults on staff and 78 injuries,
we couldn't move quickly enough. And so this was one of the quickest grants we've ever funded before.
Honey says the grant is $132,000, and with assaults increasing, she says,
we're so vital to get this money into their hands right away. And so the thought that they can push that button and help will be on the way immediately, it was just a no-brainer for us to make that move.
Smith says the emergency room nurses see a lot of violence, but it also happens all throughout the hospital.
It's in our critical care units, it's in our med surg floor areas. A lot of times it is a repeated violence as well. We may have the same patient doing the same thing or getting worse each time they do it.
Nurse Blevins says she thinks the pandemic has made an impact on these situations as well.
They come in here and then they have to sit in here because everywhere's full. We have no placements to put anybody.
Everywhere's full.
And that's just frustrating on the patients. It's frustrating on us.
Looking at that for yourself.
Increasing a lot of violence.
Flight attendants testified on Capitol Hill today and shared horror stories about the surge in unruly passengers during this pandemic. Now the attendants are asking Congress to protect them. Here's CBS's Errol Barnett.
Unruly behavior in the air and abuse of flight attendants took center stage on Capitol Hill today.
I've lost count the times I've been insulted or threatened on a flight simply for doing my job.
With nearly 4,400 reported incidents this year alone, lawmakers are calling for more strict penalties to curb the increasingly bad and occasionally violent behavior.
Flight attendants, gate agents, and other airline employees have the right to go to work without the fear of being harassed, intimidated, abused, or assaulted. Period.
The FAA has a zero-tolerance policy for unruly behavior, imposing more than $1 million in fines. But Administrator Steve Dixon said the incidents are still too frequent.
We're still a good 2 to 3 times above where we need to be.
One possible solution under consideration is further limiting alcohol-to-go sales in airports.
I was getting a beer and some guy asked for like 3 shots of vodka in a to-go cup.
The Flight Attendants Association said unruly passengers must be criminally prosecuted, not just fined.
Now, what do we need? We need DOJ criminal charges and enforcement. Make the FAA zero tolerance policy permanent.
Teddy Andrews, who testified today, gave us an example of the kind of abuse he now receives.
I said, sir, can you please put your mask on? And he looked up at me and said, N-word, I don't have to do a damn thing.
Now consider this, as the hearing ended, another incident took place, and we have video. Take a look at this. A 32-year-old passenger on Hawaiian Airlines was arrested after the airline says they punched a flight attendant unprovoked. The plane and all passengers had to return to Honolulu, Margaret, after that incident.
Well, out of South Carolina, where an elementary school student may likely be expelled. The reason, because of a TikTok challenge that involves slapping a teacher. News 8's Derek Dellinger with our Lancaster, South Carolina station WJZY is live. So, Derek, tell us what happened.
Well, where we are right now is about an hour south of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're in a county where bluntly you would not expect something like this to happen, but it did, and district officials here, in fact, once across the region, pretty much say that this is part of a long series of these TikTok pranks that have been happening really since the beginning of the school year, which happened about 6 weeks ago here. Now, this slapping incident, though, this one happened on Friday at one of the schools here. We're told the elementary student hit a teacher in the back of the head as part of this challenge. Now, the teacher was not injured, but no matter what you think about this, this is assault, and that student is now facing expulsion. Also, the possibility of criminal charges. It's the only incident like it right now that but it's not the only TikTok challenge the district says that they've been dealing with. As we mentioned, this district, like many across the country, they've been dealing with these bathroom vandalism cases. There were also TikTok challenges, and the slapping is part of a new challenge that started late last week.
A lot of this is peer pressure, and whether your child has a phone, is on social media, or whether your child just has a peer group, you need to have these conversations with your children and make sure they understand the repercussions.
And as we have seen really across the country, we've seen these basic TikTok challenges basically happening pretty much all around various high schools and also elementary and middle schools. We should mention just in this county alone, district officials say every high school that's in this county, they have had these bathroom pranks happen, and they hope that the slapping challenges won't come to this. They say again that this is the first. They hope it is the last.
Right, so suddenly after all these years of flying the friendly skies, people are just on the plane. They're having enough with flight attendants. They're just getting struck for no reason.